The car had once been speeding down an empty road at an extremely high velocity. Perhaps in just a few seconds of lost concentration, the driver could no longer control the steering wheel. The vehicle lost control, skidded violently off the road, and crashed straight into the roadside with a terrifying impact. When everything finally came to a stop, the scene shocked everyone who saw it. The front of the car was deeply buried in the ground, while the body tilted forward as if it had fallen from a great height. Broken plastic pieces were scattered everywhere. The windshield was shattered, and the body of the car was damaged so badly that many people believed it was nothing more than scrap metal. Even the car's former owner had probably lost all hope. After the accident, the vehicle was abandoned mercilessly on the side of the road. No one expected that anybody would still want to save it. But today, a young woman appeared. To most people, it was just a twisted pile of useless metal, but to her, it was an extraordinary challenge. Her mission today was to pull the car out of the accident site. It sounded simple at first, but once people saw the actual condition of the vehicle, everyone understood how difficult the task really was. The car was not only heavily damaged, but it was also trapped in an extremely dangerous position. The front end was buried deep into the ground, and the wheels barely had any grip left. One small mistake could cause the vehicle to slide even deeper or flip over at any moment. What confused people the most was how the car had managed to plunge headfirst into the ground at such a steep angle. The scene looked like something straight out of an action movie. The impact must have been incredibly powerful, forcing all the weight of the vehicle forward and causing it to crash into the ground in a way nobody expected. In a rescue situation like this, the most reasonable solution would normally be to use a professional crane. Only heavy-duty equipment strong enough could safely lift the car without causing even more damage. However, the biggest problem was that this area was far away from the city center. There were almost no professional rescue services nearby. Finding and renting a crane in such a place was not easy at all and could take a huge amount of time and money. While everyone was still struggling to come up with a solution, the young woman suddenly thought of a bold idea. Near the accident scene, there was an excavator working at a construction site. Normally, excavators are only used for digging or construction work, but she believed that with the right calculations and proper control, the excavator could replace a crane in this situation. It was an idea that surprised many people. Some even thought it was far too risky. With just one wrong move, the car could slip, tilt sideways, or become even more damaged than before. But the young woman seemed to have carefully planned everything in advance. She closely observed the position of the vehicle, checked the angle of the ground, and searched for the safest way to secure the body of the car before beginning the rescue operation. By watching the way she worked, everyone could tell that she was far from inexperienced. Every movement she made was calm, careful, and precise. She carefully attached the towing cables to the strongest points of the car's frame to prevent the body from tearing apart or suffering even more damage during the lifting process. After everything was secured, she slowly began operating the excavator with incredible skill. The excavator carefully lifted the front of the car little by little off the ground. At that moment, everyone nearby seemed to hold their breath. Even the slightest mistake could have caused the entire vehicle to collapse back into the ditch. But through her intelligence and experience, the young woman managed to stay completely in control. Bit by bit, the damaged vehicle was finally pulled out of the deep hole. The scene was truly impressive. A young woman, seemingly small and gentle, was handling an extremely difficult rescue operation like a true professional. Without relying on expensive modern equipment, she still managed to solve the problem using nothing but creativity, confidence, and skill. After several tense minutes, the car was finally brought back onto stable ground safely. The people standing nearby immediately burst into cheers and excitement. Even they could hardly believe that such a difficult rescue had succeeded in such an unexpected way. However, that was only the first step. Although the vehicle had been pulled out successfully, it still could not move on its own. The body was severely damaged, and the wheels were barely functional anymore. The next challenge was transporting the car back to her workshop. Fortunately, the young woman was someone admired and loved by many people. Through her work, she had earned respect thanks to her friendly personality and fearless attitude toward difficult challenges. Because of that, when people learned she needed help, several volunteers immediately stepped forward to support her. A few young men nearby worked together to help push the heavy vehicle back onto the main road. Even though the car was extremely heavy, everyone gave it their full effort. The atmosphere became lively and cheerful. Some people laughed while pushing the vehicle, while others recorded videos of the entire process because they felt it was such a memorable moment. After a great deal of effort, the vehicle was finally transported back to her workshop. As soon as the workshop doors opened, people became even more curious about what she planned to do with this heavily damaged car. Would she simply repair it back to its original condition? Or would she completely dismantle it for spare parts? And to end everyone's curiosity, she finally revealed her surprising plan. She did not want to restore the car in the usual way. Instead, she wanted to transform it into a completely new version, a vehicle with a much stronger personality, a more aggressive appearance, and a true sports car spirit. Her idea was to remove the roof completely and turn the wrecked vehicle into a unique convertible sports car. The moment people heard about her plan, many became incredibly excited. Everyone understood that transforming a severely wrecked car into a convertible was not a simple task. It required skill, creativity, and deep knowledge of vehicle structure and engineering. If the work was not done properly, the car could lose its balance or no longer be safe to drive. But the young woman showed no fear at all. To her, this was not simply about repairing a damaged vehicle. It was about bringing something abandoned back to life. She wanted to prove that even a heavily wrecked car could become something special when placed in the right hands. After beginning the dismantling process, she carefully inspected every part of the vehicle. Any damaged components that could no longer be used were completely removed. The car's frame was reinforced to ensure it remained strong and stable after the roof was cut off. Every step was carried out with great care and attention to detail. The most fascinating part was watching the transformation of the car's appearance. From a scratched and crushed wreck left behind after a terrible accident, the vehicle slowly began taking on an entirely new look. Removing the roof gave the car a lower, sportier, and far more aggressive style. Many people following the project were completely amazed. They could hardly believe that a vehicle abandoned on the roadside could be transformed into such an impressive custom project. Some people believed the young woman was reckless, but many others deeply admired her courage and determination. Instead of giving up in the face of difficulties, she chose to see opportunity within the wreckage itself. Perhaps the reason so many people admired her was not only because of her mechanical skills. What truly made her special was her mindset. While others saw nothing more than broken metal and useless parts, she saw potential, creativity, and a chance to create something unique. The restoration project would certainly take a long time to complete. From the chassis and engine to the interior, almost every part of the car still needed repairs and upgrades. But judging by her determination, many people believed she would eventually succeed. Maybe one day in the future, the same vehicle that had once been abandoned after a terrible accident would return to the streets with a completely new appearance, a one of a kind convertible sports car that would make everyone turn their heads in admiration. This story is not simply about rescuing a damaged car. It also shows the power of creativity, persistence, and refusing to give up. Sometimes things that seem completely finished can begin a brand new journey in ways nobody could ever expect. And honestly, turning a wrecked accident car into a convertible sports car is an incredibly fascinating idea. It is bold, creative, and full of personal style. Not everyone would dare to take on a project like this. What about you? What do you think about this creative rescue and transformation project? Do you believe the car will successfully return with an entirely new identity? And if you were in her position, what kind of style would you choose for the vehicle? Feel free to leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments so everyone can hear your ideas. Who knows, your creative suggestions might even inspire the next stage of this amazing project. Saying that she was going to transform this wrecked vehicle into a stylish convertible sports car was really just a bit of exaggeration for fun and entertainment. In reality, her true plan was far more practical and meaningful. After carefully inspecting the damaged vehicle, she realized that restoring it into a luxury or sports car would not be realistic. However, that did not mean the vehicle was completely useless. With her creativity and experience, she decided to rebuild it into a small pickup truck that could be used for everyday work by people in the local community. That was the real purpose behind this project. Instead of allowing the damaged vehicle to become scrap metal, she wanted to give it a second life as something useful that could continue serving people in their daily lives. After the modifications were completed, the rear section of the vehicle would be redesigned to carry goods, tools, and heavy equipment, just like a real pickup truck. What makes this project even more special is that the finished vehicle would be sold at a very affordable price. She understood that many people in the area could not afford expensive pickup trucks or commercial vehicles. Because of that, she wanted to create something practical, reliable, and useful while still remaining within the budget of ordinary working people. For example, local farmers could use the vehicle to transport fertilizer, pesticides, farming tools, or agricultural products from the fields back to their homes. For many farmers, having a small utility vehicle like this could save a huge amount of time and physical effort. Not only that, but construction workers could also use the vehicle to transport machinery, handheld equipment, and work materials needed for daily jobs. The vehicle might not look luxurious or modern, but it would become extremely practical and valuable for hardworking people. And that is exactly what makes this project so meaningful. She is not trying to build a flashy vehicle simply to attract attention or show off. Instead, she wants to transform an abandoned wreck into something that can truly benefit the community. A simple vehicle, but one capable of helping many people in their everyday work and lives. Perhaps that is why so many people admire and support her. It is not only because of her repair skills or creativity, but also because of the way she sees value in things others have already given up on. While many people only saw a destroyed and worthless car, she saw an opportunity to create something useful again. course, completing this project is far from easy. She has to spend a great deal of time, effort, and money repairing the frame, reinforcing the structure, rebuilding the mechanical systems, and redesigning the entire rear section of the vehicle to suit its new purpose. It is a long and difficult process that requires patience, skill, and dedication. But without a doubt, all the hard work she puts into this project will eventually be rewarded, not only financially when the vehicle is sold, but also emotionally, knowing that her work can genuinely help other people. To many viewers, this may simply look like another vehicle restoration project, but for her, it represents passion, creativity, and the desire to create something valuable for the people around her. And if you also find this project interesting, don't hesitate to give her a like and share this video to support and encourage her. Your support is a huge source of motivation that inspires her to continue creating even more useful projects in the future. She would truly be grateful to know that so many people are following, supporting, and appreciating what she does. Thank you all so much for taking the time to watch this video. Both she and our team sincerely appreciate all of your support and kindness. Goodbye for now, and we'll see you again in the next videos.